What's up, dudes? It's 6:28 a.m. I just woke up. Well, I didn't just wake up. I woke up a while back, but I'm just getting going. So, I already got transmissions. I was just watching some videos, and I'm making a seahorse. Might mean something. I'm making little seahorse earrings. Now I'm doing red ones. So somebody wants to get married. Oh my God, how romantic. Somebody may be thinking about getting married. And, here's what came through. They're gonna marry a sexy motherfucker who respects them. In transmission. And then, personally for me, I have been married once. I'm still legally married, but I'm completely emotionally divorced from my ex. We just can't afford a divorce. But we have not been together for, going on, officially going on like 4 years. And we were floating apart way before that. I do believe, even after being married and it didn't work out, I also have 2 baby daddies when I was married to, and then my son's father. I do believe in marriage still. I hope to get married again. I love the concept of marriage. I like the security of being married to someone. I like the trust in saying you're my person and you're my person. I like the romance of it. I like the idea of 2 people taking care of each other in their own ways that they can do that. Personally for me, I have already kind of did the career thing, I guess you could say it that way. I've already done, kind of flexed my artistic wings. I've seen where I can take myself. I've earned some accomplishments on my resume. I made a goal to have my things that I make sold in a bunch of noteworthy places, and I did. I make jewelry. I used to make this graphic jewelry. I loved kind of exploring the concept of somebody seeing like one image and then it makes you think of something, a memory of something like that. So I kind of explored that. I was able, my things sold in, if you're local here, in the Twin Cities, I was highlighted several times by the Walker Art Center. The Walker Art Center is one of the United States' top modern art museums. And all these places, like, I didn't apply to like do events at these places. No, these places contacted me. So I was highlighted by the Walker, I think it was like 5 times, along with 15 or 17 other artists, where they open up a gallery and let you sell your wares to the general public. The Minneapolis Institute of Art, they call it MIA now, contacted me one year and wanted me to sell my stuff during Art in Bloom. That's an event they do where they work with florists. And MIA, the Minneapolis Institute of Art, is our big art museum here. And on that one, they said, we would love to have you be part of our event. And so what happens there during Art in Bloom is a bunch of florists are given a work of art, and that's kind of like their muse for their floral arrangement. And so they have to build a floral arrangement, and then it'll be put on a pedestal right in front of that work of art in the museum. And then people walk through and they look at both of them together. It's a big deal here in the Twin Cities. And Mia contacted me and said, we'd love to have you be part of this Maker's Mart that's going on there. I was out of town for it. And so that's like, yeah, just think outside the box if you're an artist and something like that happens. And I responded back, I'll be out of town, but if you have a docent, and a docent is a volunteer who works at a museum, if you have a docent who would like to run my booth, I'll bring all my stuff and get it all ready, but I won't be able to be there that day. And they said, wonderful, yes. So I was able to still participate even though I wasn't there. My things were. The Wiseman Museum has sold my things. Mill City Museum. The Guthrie Theater here in the Twin Cities. Time magazine called the Guthrie Theater, a 21st century dream machine. I used to make bracelets that coincided with whatever place we're going on in the theater. That's our big theater here in the Twin Cities. Outside of that, Yale Center for British Art, Harvard Museum of Natural History, the Art Gallery of Ontario, the Atlanta Aquarium. Those are just some that are just off the top of my head. Oh yeah, that was a fun one. Chrysalis is the name of their gift shop. It's the Overlook Hotel in Colorado in Estes Park. And that's where Stephen King stayed, and that inspired him to write The Shining. So, and that's just a handful of them. I did literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of wholesale accounts with different businesses. So I was able to kind of like flex my wings a little bit, see where it took me. And it took me pretty far. And I was proud of myself. Then I realized, yeah, I'm a one-man sweatshop. I don't want to do this anymore. I had an awakening. And so a lot of times when you have an awakening, something that you work for really hard no longer resonates. You're like, I don't even want to do this anymore. And if that resonates with you, I'm going to put, there's a link that's this man Victor talks about, and it's 11 signs that you've had a Kundalini awakening and you don't know it. And one of those signs is, I don't really give a shit about everything I just worked for. I don't resonate with it anymore. I don't want to do this. So that's what happened with me. And I decided I just didn't want to do the grind anymore. I was doing long, hard days. I was like killing it on Etsy. Right now my Etsy shop has over 17,500 sales. I remember one Christmas, it was like orders were pouring in. I was like crying through all of Christmas because I was just so stressed out. Working from the minute I woke up to the minute I went to sleep. And I didn't want to do it anymore. So with that said, yeah, now in my life, my goal, I want to be a homemaker. That's what I'm good at. That's what I want to do. I figured out I am good at business. But my ultimate goal would be a homemaker or working in business with my partner, traveling with them, whatever it is. So with all that said, here's the next The next transmission. Tower. These Christian conservatives have gotten out of control. So now on the board is Christians, far-right Christian conservatives have decided to make divorce become harder. Put forth family values that the woman belongs in the home, all that kind of stuff. Popping out puppies in her early 20s, lock her in. Yeah. So with everything I just said, and my dream job would be a housewife now. I understand that that's not the dream job for other women out there. And I don't believe that women only belong in the home at all. And there's this weird thing, the conservative Christians seem to be ordering multiple bolts of red fabric to start sewing capes, Margaret Atwood. So, the next, okay, I'm like doing this, okay, whatever that might mean, something. I hear secret society. Truth. Let's check in with Legia Miller. She's also from Minnesota. Legia is a lawyer, and she explains kind of the tricky aspects that far-right conservative Christians are doing to oppress women. And she explains it in a way that's easily understandable. Because a lot of us are like, what the fuck are these people talking about? What are they doing? She talks about low birth rates, population collapse, why people aren't getting married in lower income. And I think it's time we all go to Soul School with Galactic Professor Legia Miller. I don't know Legia. I don't work with her. I've never met her. We are from the same city. Newsflash, Minnesota is highly educated. Yeah, I have another reading. Where at the time we were going through the facts, the serious facts. And what are the serious facts? It was ranking the intelligence of every state. How did they do that? Well, they took high school graduation into account. They took how many people went on to further educate themselves. Now we have to remember that people who jump into the business world instead of going on to higher education doesn't automatically mean they're not intelligent. No, because there's a lot of highly intelligent people that jumped right into their career. But more importantly, high school graduation, college level graduation, people who got masters, PhDs, all that kind of stuff. And they just ranked all the states. And it was out of 51 because Washington, D.C. was included as its own separate place. I can't remember the exact rates. And I'll find that reading. I'll try to find that reading and link to it. I think it's 3 different readings where I'm just reading off the facts. So, Minnesota, highly educated. We're highly educated here. We rank number 9. I can't remember what was number 1, maybe Vermont or something. It was something over in the far northeast. Do you want to know what was number 50 and number 51? The dumbest and second dumbest state in the United States, if you want to be harsh about it. Put it in your mind. Who do you think it is? 2 states. Education-wise, the most backward states. You got it? California and Texas. It's true. Last place and second to last place in education was California and Texas. I can't remember which one got absolute last place. There's a bunch of people that are existing in complete false realities. It's time to get educated. All right, so Spirit wants us all now, whether you lean left or right, it doesn't really matter on this soul school lesson. It's the truth that matters. And I'm not trying to change anybody's political stance, bottom lines, or anything else. But we have to go into these ideas and concepts with our eyes open to reality. And if you're part of the 1%ers, or the Bros Club, or the far right conservative Christian club, you have to understand you're in a very insular bubble. You're very parochial. You're very clueless to the way the rest of society is run. And if that makes you feel triggered, then you have to look at yourself, because that's the truth. You are part of a club that has more money, Spirit wants us to watch the $100 race again. White privilege, let's talk about it. Should I be embarrassed that I'm a white person? Like, when it comes to society, should I be embarrassed that I'm a white person? No. The answer is no. And then if anybody is ripping on a white person because they're white and their white skin is a different skin color than yours, you're a fucking racist. If you rip on somebody because of the color of their skin, no matter what color skin you are, you're a racist. And so Spirit wants us to learn white privilege isn't me, but it's hard to define. And so this man does this excellent lesson. It looks like it's some kind of Christian camp or something. And if you're not Christian, you can still get the moral of the story. And he lines all these kids up on a football field. And at the end of the field is a $100 bill. And he says, everyone take 2 steps forward if your parents are still married. And then all of a sudden, the line isn't even anymore. Now it's staggered. It's starting to stagger. And the race hasn't even started. And then he says, take 2 steps forward if you don't have to pay for your own cell phone. Even more staggered. Take 2 steps forward if you've never had to worry about where your next meal is from. Even more staggered. Takes 2 steps forward if, despite your athletic abilities, that isn't included, you don't have to pay for your own college. Even more staggered. And the race hasn't even started. That he's establishing the starting line. And so should people feel guilty that their parents set them up for success? No. What people should feel guilty for is, and I'll link this in the comment section of this reading, the $100 raise, is how every single one of those kids who take 2 steps forward, they all cheat without even realizing it. Because the teacher said take 2 steps forward. And you watch those kids, a step is like this. They're doing these giant leaps. Two girls are holding hands. They're like leaping. Yeah, we can leap from our private dance classes. He never said take 2 leaps forward. We got future broskies doing the fucking splits in the air, taking a giant leap forward. That leap is what white privilege is. It's cheating without even realizing you're cheating. Every one of those kids heard take 2 steps forward, and they said, don't mind if I do, and they stretched their legs as far as they fucking could to get the furthest ahead. And then they stood there all giddy. Yeah, I'm ahead. Turn around looking at people behind them. And then the teacher said, all right, everybody look around at where we're starting on the race. And it's staggered. The line is back here, and there's a teenager bro, at the very front, smiling. And then the teacher says, you are all starting at a spot that you didn't earn. None of these starting lines you had any merit in. That too is white privilege. And then he says, go. And you watch some black dudes those are my favorite people running the race. And there's 2 specific black guys that are at the very beginning of the line. They haven't taken any steps forward. And they run as fast as they fucking can. All the people in front of them didn't blow out their flame. It is totally unfair. And those dudes, there's one dude, you see him, he's just running as fast as he can. And of course those dudes don't win. No. They still tried though. No, the broski in the front wins. Yeah. Yeah, and well, no, my dad gives me $100 for every C+ I get on my report card. Yeah. I'm just going to throw this Benjamin on the horde. That's what white privilege is. It's the leap. It's the cheating without even realizing you're cheating by not following directions. All right. So, a lot of soul school this morning. Classes in session with Miss Star. All right, looks like the sun is coming up. Let's get a message from the archangels. Let's see what the archangels want to tell us. I have the deck right here. What's the message from the archangels? Comfort. Archangel Azrael. I am with you in your time of need, helping your heart to heal. So it doesn't mean we can't succeed, no matter who we are. It means we have to play the game fairly. And we have to be in the present moment and be aware if we're playing the game fairly or not. All right, I hope y'all find a $100 bill today. I'm back. Yeah, we're on to pink. So, Spirit said, a bunch of hoity-toities are going to have a complete collapse of false reality. Okay. So, if Walls and Harris announce that everybody in the United States who goes to public school gets free breakfast and free lunch, like what Governor Walz did in Minnesota, Governor Walz made it so in Minnesota, every student who goes to a public school now gets free breakfast and free lunch. Because how are Minnesotan kids doing so well? academically because they're getting good nutrition is true. And like my kids' school, when they were in elementary school and such like that, they work out, and I think they still have these same food programs where it's pizza day. Yeah, pizza is on a whole wheat crust, and it's made with sauce from local farm out of Lakeville, tomatoes, blah-diddy, blah, 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 whatever it is. They have all these accounts with local farmers, whole wheat things. Really a new nutrition program that had come up a while back and took off. So if you live in Minnesota and your kid goes to public school, you never have to pack them a lunch, and you never have to give them money for lunch. That's a game changer. That's a game changer in a way the one percenters will never understand. And if those two start saying, we're going to do it for the whole United States, they will win by a landslide. Okay. I'm seeing if there's any more. Okay, I'm looking at this tarot deck. Let's see what the tarot says. Page of Pentacles. Somebody might be gathering something. They might have been watching something for a long time. Now they're gathering it all together to present something. Okay. So do you know, hoity-toities, yeah. So I went to a private Catholic school here in the Twin Cities, a well-known school. Its name is Benilde St. Margaret's. It costs, I believe I looked it up, it costs just over $17,000 a year to send your kid there now. Yeah, that's per year, 17 grand. So when I went there, that school is known for hockey, really good at hockey. And all the hockey scouts come out and check out the Benilde kids. So a lot of times at that school, back when I went there, I graduated in '93, but I transferred out of Benilde the second half of my junior year into my senior year. And then my second half of my junior year and my senior year, I went to public school called Osseo Senior High. So when I was there was a term for it. It was done so often. It was called a super senior. So if you're a hockey player kid or whatever, this is how it usually goes. Some kid comes over from Shattuck in Canada or someplace where their family's already invested $100 grand in this kid's hockey career since the day they could walk, whatever it is. They swoop that kid into BSM, Benilde St. Margaret's, their junior year. And then senior year they do at BSM. And then they get picked up by a hockey scout. But if your kid doesn't get picked up by a scout on their senior year, yeah, you can just pay another 17 grand and they'll fail the kid. Let them do senior year again, called super senior. That's what we used to call it. I knew one kid in particular who he was a super senior because he was trying to get another hockey chance at a hockey scout. Now think about that. No matter what your grades are. Do you know that private schools, teachers do not have to get background checks? They don't need to be vetted. They don't need to have a teacher's license. The school that I went to when I went there, it has a problem with pedophilia. So when I went there, and that goes way back to the 80s, and probably before, but documented case. There was one priest back in the 80s that got busted molesting kids in another part of the USA. So The higher-ups told that priest, don't do that anymore. Sent him over. Yeah, you're now going to be at Benilde St. Margaret's. When I went there, late 80s, 90s, my history teacher, he was the baseball coach. So that what that school does is they're really well known for their sports. So they hire these teachers who are actually more coaches. And then they say, we need you to be the baseball coach. You can teach history. So in a private school, your teacher doesn't have to go to school to be a teacher. No, they don't need a teacher's license. In a public school, a teacher needs to be licensed. They need to have a background check. They need to be vetted. So in the school I went to, one of the baseball player boys, one of the popular kids, just came out and said, here it is. The baseball coach keeps keeps cornering me in the shower and touching my butt, and I don't like it. And since he came up and just said it, then a trickle of other boys came forward and said, he's done it to me too. In my memory, I don't remember the school sitting down with any of us, talking with us. I remember a real short letter getting mailed home that teacher got fired. I don't remember anybody asking any children, any of us, if we had any abuse done to us by this specific teacher. No. I remember the news I remember watching the news and the reporters going and knocking on my history teacher's door. His wife, no comment. Since then, yeah, and then what did they do? I remember we were all abuzz. Oh my God, our history teacher, total perv. Holy cow. Oh my God. I remember being in dance line, one of the dance line girls who was also in softball, and he coached softball, said, oh my God, he gave me a ride home from school once. And we said, did he do anything to you? No. Another girl said, it's because he got it for dudes. Since then, you can Google that school. You can Google pedophilia. You can Google sex scandal. They've had to fire another teacher for being inappropriate with students. They had to fire, I believe it was tennis coach for child pornography. And people are falling over themselves to pay $17,000 plus a year to send their kids to this business. All in the name of Jesus Christ, God, Catholicism. Interesting side note, yeah. The Catholic religion owned Benilde St. Margaret's, I believe, and another school called De La Salle. And they had to actually sell those schools to help pay for the pedophilia fines they have. Millions of dollars that's owned for pedophilia. There are still some people that I went to school with that know this history of pedophilia in this school, that are paying $17,000 plus to send their kids to this school still. Why? Well, because their parents went there, and they went there, and their kids are going to go there. On that school, there's, like any private school, there's something called center. It'll be something center. It'll either be a gym or a library or something. It'll have somebody's name on it. And if you look by the center, wherever that is, there's probably bricks in the wall. Yeah. of families who donated the most money to that school, clearly advertising the haves and the have-nots. And if your family's name is on one of those bricks for everybody to see, you're probably going to get prom king or queen, homecoming king or queen. When I went there, yeah, I was a have-not in a sea of haves. Yeah, what that school also does, if tuition is kind of tight for your family, you can be the school maid. Yeah. After school, you have to clean in front of all the haves. I used to have to vacuum in front of all the kids who didn't have to vacuum. I remember one girl, her name is Terry, very kind girl. She didn't have to vacuum after school, but she came into the classroom and helped me vacuum so it would be over quicker for me. I remember that kind gesture. I remember hearing my mother talk about how much my tuition cost. A lot. On top of the tuition, you also had to sell calendars. You had to sell 10 calendars or 5 calendars or whatever it was for $25 a pop. And if you didn't sell all of them, it just get tacked onto your tuition. It's a fundraiser. I still got Benilde calling me, asking for alumni funds. In the second half of my junior year, after my history teacher got busted for pedophilia, I asked my parents, hey, can I go to public school? I'm over this. I was overhearing my mother stress about how expensive my tuition was all the fucking time. I would get cornered in the library by these pervert boys that would feel me up. I wrote about it once, and some other girls from Benilde said, me too. One of the main dudes that used to corner girls in the library and feel them up without their permission, just grab their boobs, tweak them, squeeze them, twist them. As an adult, he became a gymnastics coach, and a little girl said he slipped his hand under my leotard, and he got tried for sexual assault on a little girl, and there wasn't enough evidence, and he was found not guilty. He said his carpal tunnel made his hand slip under her leotard and touch her vagina. A broski. Yeah, that poor little girl. So let's remember, hoity-toities, teachers at private schools do not need a teaching license. They do not need a background check. They don't need any of that to be able to be a teacher in a private school. In a free public school, every one of those teachers has a degree. Every one of those teachers has had a background check on them. And public schools are absolutely not a money-making cash cow business where kids are the commodity. It's a totally different game when you're talking about a public school. All right, there you go. There's the message. Peace out. Love you.